Welcome back to the interview. Today, I got a favor, and I phoned a friend, and I'm glad she came because she is a major influence in the LA area. She's an LA native. She'll be sure to let y'all know, specifically from Compton. So y'all better make sure y'all know what it is about Compton. But I'm just gonna get to it. We got Latanza Price in the studio today. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. All right, can you hear yourself?
Yes.
Make sure I got it right. I gotta make sure I got it right. So first question is, well, really just tell people who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Latanza Price. I am a child, a sister, I mean, everything. But in latent form, I am the CEO and owner of Priceless Moments and also the owner of LP Interior Designs and Associates.
All right. So as we talked a little bit prior before you came in, you are a LA native.
Yes,
All
born
right.
and raised.
And I love to talk to people from LA because it's such a special place. And you've been from LA. I would like to know as a first question, what advantages do you think that you have received by being from LA?
Well, I think for one, LA is basically it's a hub, right? Like you got different cultures, you got different walks of lives, you got different experiences, and I feel like LA is a central place to create anything. So I feel like growing up in it, I never got limited in what my possibilities were.
And also, I'll tell people, don't feel free to elaborate, please, as much as you want. This job's for you to talk, not me. So, you know what I mean? I know some people don't want to talk too much, but this is one of them times where I want you to talk as much as you want to because people heard enough of me. But so there's two sides of advantages. There's another side called a disadvantage.
hmm
Um,
Well, I
in your opinion, do you feel like there's any disadvantages from being from LA?
definitely. I mean, I feel like, your environment, and I feel like that's regardless of wherever you are. But I feel like in LA, you got to deal with some real stuff. And I feel like that could be, poverty, that could be drugs. I mean, that could just be different scenarios. And at the end of the day, like, I feel like wherever your upbringing is, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have to define where you go and what you're able to do. So I feel like, yes, it might have been a disadvantage. People hear all the time, oh, Compton, LA, all these different things. But at the end of the day, I'm proud to be where I came from for one. But two, I grew up in all that. And I will say that I turned out successful. There's different avenues that I still attain, as I get older and by year. And, you know, it is what it is.
Now, people have a certain perception of Compton. Now, you say you're from LA and identify Compton individually. Why is that? Is it such a big difference? And I know, but there's people around the world who have no idea what we're talking about or why there's a difference or why people represent Compton separately from LA.
Well, I definitely do think that it is a difference. In general, LA is so vast, it's so big. So I feel like when you identify exactly where you were born and raised, that's important. And I feel like if we look at the media, if we look at all these different kind of social channels that might target Compton to be one way, or they might have a perception of Compton, at the end of the day, anywhere that you live in could be deadly. Anywhere that you live in could be, you know, have different experiences surrounding it. But at the end of the day, you don't have to stick with what is perceived of you or where you come from. So for me, yes, I grew up in LA. I mean, I felt like I was born in Bellflower, and then I grew up in Compton, went to Optimal Christian Academy. When I even went to high school at King Drew. So I feel like I was always surrounded by LA, but at the end of the day, I did grow up in Compton and I'm proud of it. I mean, you know, that's me.
I was actually born in Compton, actually,
Okay.
Dominguez Hospital.
Come on
And I went to Caldwell Elementary
now.
as
Okay.
well as St. Albert. If you St.
I
Albert,
know.
yeah, you know
Come
about
on
St. Albert.
now.
So
Yeah.
spent a
And
lot of
look
time
at
together.
you.
But I
Good News
represent Inglewood,
Radio.
though. You know what I'm saying? I
That's
know what it is.
that's where you at now without Compton was part of your
hundred
upbringing.
percent, 100%. When
Yeah.
you live in LA, you move around a lot. So, did you have that experience moving around a lot in LA?
I did. So cities that I can recall is definitely Compton, Los Angeles. I know I lived in Lakewood for some time. And I mean, it kind of just circled. So I mean, I've been a little bit everywhere, but I feel like growing up, those were like my central, my hubs, Gardena, even. And then I kind of went to college, experienced, I guess, the valley side of things, and then just kept life growing.
Now, just from a professional standpoint, you considered an event specialist. At least that's what I would introduce you as.
Come on
If
now.
anybody asks me what you do, I'm going to lead with you do events, you handle events, you coordinate events.
Yeah.
Um, how did you step into that genre of work? Like, what led you to that?
So personally, I've always been great at organization, logistics, and management. I feel like since birth, since childhood, I was organizing like dance, not I won't say dance classes, but like dance little groups and quartets with my friends. And when it came to like birthday celebrations, it was like, oh, okay, what am I doing this year? Let's put these little cute things together. So I feel like I naturally always had a eye for detail, which I feel like is extremely important in any type of event and space. But I feel like also growing up, you weren't necessarily taught that event planning was a job, right? Like it was like, well, what is that? Like, oh, you just do that as a hobby. But as you got older, or I'll say as I got older, you start to realize, oh, this can actually be something that I can go into as a passion. And obviously, we all have to provide, we all have to support ourselves. But at the end of the day, when you do something that you love and you're able to wake up and kind of do things in clockwork because it comes second nature to you, I feel like that's what really started to drive the force of Priceless Moments to where it started at and obviously where it's been. I'm very fortunate to be at 6 years as a successful business since 2017, and there are just so many different horizons and different things that to me I feel like yes it's been successful, but anybody that knows me knows I am a high achiever and there's just so much more that will come and in due time. So
Okay, so just to get in, I want to get a little deep. I want to dig a little step deeper than that. Like,
okay.
was there an event, a moment, or like something that happened to where you was like, this is where I'm going to go? Because I think, like you said, what you've done and created career, most people did see as a hobby. Most people do as a hobby. Like,
Yeah.
but how did you like? What was it that said I'm going to go into this lane as a professional? Like, was it a day? Did you wake up one morning and it was written in your Cheerios or something like that? Like your alphabet cereal. Like, was there a sign? What was that moment like when you decided?
So I will say that I've always been in corporate America. I started very young in my career in corporate America. So in corporate America, we know it's long hours, it's always a demand, it's always something that needs to be done. And I, attained a level in corporate America where it was like, okay, like, no one's really checking for me. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm able to, push through a project and continue. I feel like at some point, when you're working 60, 70 hours per week, sometime 80 hours per week, you get into a mindset where it's like you kind of start to lose yourself in a sense because you're working, you're making things happen, which I've always been a person to make things happen. But I think it's also something where you're able to look at things in a full lens and be like, well, okay, am I helping somebody else accomplish their dream? Or am I going to accomplish mine and build my empire at the same time? So I will say that there was a light bulb. Um, Again, I've always been a workaholic, but I got to a point where it was like I stopped doing like little things for myself. I stopped doing self care. I stopped. Anybody that knows Latanza, she's extra. She's over the top. When you stop getting your little mani dates and petty dates and your hair done and things that might seem so minute, but it's so important because it is a part of self care. Like that's when you have to take a step back and realize, like, okay, am I in the right profession? What am I doing? What makes me happy? And I feel like I actually started my business Priceless Moments at 25. And I feel like I've always been a futuristic person. So looking towards the future is like, well, what actually makes me happy? We all got to work. We all got to, provide for ourselves. But it's like, what really makes me happy? And at that time, my honey, Jermaine, he had already started his business. We started developing that, which is Simply Creative Arts. And after really looking at it, it was like, why not start your business? Why not start your profession? Why not, go after something that makes you happy and that brings you love and respect back? So that's really where Priceless Moments was formed. And I mean, since it's been started, it might be cumbersome hours. It might be, I might have 3 events per month, and people are like, oh my God, am I gonna see you? I'm like, well, Priceless Moments is moving. And that's just kind of how it started. And I try to piece everything together business wise, but also personally, because in order to be a boss, in order to be a businesswoman, you have to have a grounding business wise, but also professionally. So, yeah.
So I got some kind of not a two-part question, but I have two questions. One of them is, was there ever a time where you felt like, oh, I might not do this no more, or like,
Uh, no.
no,
But I'm gonna let you finish your second
no,
question
no, no, no.
too.
I want to stay here. No, you
Okay.
never have got to a point where you were like, no, I don't know, I think I'm gonna give up on this.
No. I'm an
Nice.
overachiever. So for me, if I'm dedicating time and energy, for one, it has to have a plan. It has to have some type of layout in my mind. I'm not gonna just go wildly, in the woods per se and try to attain something that doesn't have a plan behind it. I am a strategic planner. I am definitely a logistics person. So when it came to it, it's like, well, how is Priceless Moments going to form? To me, it wasn't just I feel like one of my hardest parts with forming my first business, which was Priceless Moments, was trying to find the perfect name. I'm like, what's going to resonate with me? Which my current last name is Price, soon to be McGee. And
I
it
better
was like,
tell somebody now. Tell somebody.
I was like, how is that really going to, resonate across in my brand and what I do daily? So that was the hardest part. But I feel like when it came into, well, how is Priceless Moments going to form? What is it going to stand on? What are we going to continuously put out to our clients? What do we want them to feel? What do I want each client to come in and feel and experience and have that whole, shebang with Priceless Moments? So to me, there was never an ending time, or I'll say a stopping time per se once I started. Now I will say that the conceptual conceptualization of Priceless Moments took some time because I wanted to make sure there was a plan, there was an action, and I'm never gonna fail. So
See, and
that's my
I can
pride.
respect that, because let me tell you, man, I thought about quitting about 3, 4 times, man. I had to just say, nah, 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 let's keep it going. But
Yeah.
so shout out to you. And and as a business person, regardless man or woman, I think that having that mentality that you said is like, is super important. You're already motivated. As people say, what keeps you motivated? I'm already motivated, so
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that being
Driving
that word
force.
that represents you well, for sure, a
Yes.
motivated individual.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about what you do professionally, and if it's anything different. I know you talked about you have a corporate job, which I'm sure has a lot of benefits, but talk to me about who you are in the corporate world.
So corporate world, I am, management. I am a boss. I am, pretty much controlling homes as they are built.
You're the same OGs. What you saying?
Same OG, just doing it in a whole different form. That's how I look at it. And honestly, most people don't realize all the facets that I take care of every day, all the different things that I'm in, because I do choose to only highlight certain aspects of my world. But at the end of the day, I'm all about building an empire, and any way that I'm going to, be successful in attaining that, that's what I'm all about. At some point, family, kids, all those great things will come into my life, God willing. And, then things will change, priorities will change, and
So so
life will
so
happen.
so just to be clear, I want to know what exactly do you do as a professional, if you don't mind sharing? Like, as a, I mean, sorry, not as a professional, because but in the corporate world.
So in the corporate world, I'm basically, I would say I'm pretty much a controller. So when you look at a new build construction of basically of a company, I am the person who basically keeps all the bells and whistles aligned as that home is being built. So from your drywall to your plumbing to your infrastructure to your, interior designing to your painting, all of that, pretty much I am the person in charge to the superintendent to, the foreman to, I mean, there's just so many different aspects.
In the entertainment world, I guess we call that a producer.
Well, I would
so to
just
speak,
say
or no?
project management with a nicer title.
No, that's okay. Okay, right there. You make sure it gets done. You're the person.
Yes.
You tie everything together.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
do.
I like that.
Mhm.
Okay. That's big because I always like to see how people's corporate life affect their. So, how do you feel like your corporate life affects you as a business, as an entrepreneur?
Well, again, from the beginning, I've always said it's been about operations, management, and logistics. So anything that I set my foot towards, it all aligns to that.
Yeah.
Event planning is operations management logistics. Being a controller is operations management logistics. So I feel like it definitely sets the tone to keep that aligned in what I want to do, but also it allows me to have creativity, maybe not in the event planning world, but also in the creativity of a home, a construction, or a modeling, kind of that kind of thing. So I feel like it keeps me aligned. I don't got nobody, breathing down my shoulder unless if I do something wrong, which is very far in between. And, I'm able to basically do what I need to do.
So moving forward into family, because that's very much important to every person that lives. That's a part of life. I don't think there's no part of life that's not life.
Yes.
People say work-life balance. I'm like, no, it's just life, bro. that's all you got. It's just life. Ain't no separation.
Yeah.
You're soon to be somebody's wife.
Yes.
And so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well deserved. And
I'm
he's a
so
lucky
ready
man.
for it.
He's a lucky man.
Yes.
Because you are going to make sure things.
Too. Yes.
Yeah, he know it. He know. Everybody gonna let him know if not.
I appreciate.
But I'll ask this question about dating in LA. You have now reached the end of that process.
Yes. Well, no.
Well, you're coming to the end of the dating process in general. Like,
no.
Okay. Tell me.
I don't agree with that because I feel like even when you reach a level of marriage, if that is what you want and that's what you seek to have, I feel like there still needs to be a dating phase between a marriage. I feel like, keeping it spicy, keeping it interesting, keeping it flowing is important. Like, I mean, life goes, right? Like we experience all these different things, but in your relationship, that person is growing with you. So
well, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to ask you to elaborate on that because people do want to know, how do you do that then? Okay, like what to do, but how to do that. How do you keep dating? How do you keep it spicy? How do you keep it interesting?
So you have date nights as you grow in your relationship with someone, whether it's hetero, homo, whatever is your walk of life. I know me and my honey, we make sure that we have date nights. So that just like we pencil in work, we pencil in this event, this schedule, we make sure that at the end of the day, we make sure that we have time for each other. That might be cooking something at the house together, right? That might be going away, for a small road trip for a weekend. That might be going and trying a new local restaurant. That might be, hey, going to the mall, doing a little retail therapy, whatever that message
retail therapy.
Oh, come on.
Does that mean buying something?
Retail therapy makes me happy. Let me just say that.
Wonderful way to explain that. I am totally in on that phrase.
Come on now.
What a way to express that.
Come on. I mean, you work hard, you got to play harder, right? Well you can't go on vacation every day. Let's just be honest. But at the same time, even with playing with our date nights, we make sure we have a yearly vacation, as we call it, like where we get away, we get offline. We might still be checking emails and all that good stuff for a certain portion of the day, but At the end of the day, like we offline, we talk to each other, we communicate, we talk about goals for next year. Like all of those
Okay.
things are important.
I got you. Now I'm with you. Now I'm glad you elaborated on that. So
Okay.
just to get back to the to how you nab one. Everybody out here is trying to catch and get caught at the same time, right?
Yes.
Everybody is fishing and also to catch at the same time. It's like it's crazy, right?
Just whoop,
Such an
whoop.
oxymoron.
Yes.
Um, but what do you think led to your successful dating process in Los Angeles? You're from here,
I am.
so and people ask me all the time, boy, how you do it out there? And I know for women, y'all got your own lingos, like you know,
Yeah.
how what do you think was your, I don't know, key to the successfully dating in Los Angeles?
Um, so I'll say dating. You have to entice somebody. Like to me, I'm not all about like just dates and going out. Like it's like, well, what do those dates mean? How do they make you feel? Like I'm very big on communication, regardless of my relationship with my man, my relationship with my friends, my relationship overall. But I feel like in order to keep stuff genuine, you have to know what people are going through, right? Like I'll say I'm the queen of spontaneity when I have time. So when it comes to it, like doing something that might be so far left that you wouldn't do normally, but that keeps you actually thinking and actually like, oh, okay, like, okay, that's cute. Like, okay, different things. I feel like that's what keeps to me a relationship going, but also it actually connects you to a person because there's so many people out there that could just throw money in your face or okay, let's go here and then they expect something in return. But at the end of the day, are you really connecting with a person? Because to me, a long-term relationship, marriage, when you start adding kids into that, when you start adding all these other different layers, you got to know the person that you're going to sleep with every night. And if you're not able to connect with them in a way where they might have a bad day, you need to know when they're having a bad day. If they're having a good day, okay, cool, let's have a good day together, or just those little different things. So I feel like dating is a component to get to know somebody, but it shouldn't stop just there. I feel like some people lose that interest or they lose that desire to keep that flame burning. And at some point, when you let other things affect what your relationship is, you're not able to focus on it fully. So if you keep that as a priority, you keep things spicy, you keep communication flowing, you're able to keep that relationship and grow old with somebody.
So let me add this to put the whipped cream on this.
Okay. Little
Um,
sprinkles too.
right. That's how you keep it spicy. You gotta bring out the whipped cream sometime,
Come
right?
on now.
But that made me lose my damn train of thought. And I'm thinking about this damn whipped cream. Uh, now I was gonna ask,
Go ahead.
is it being having a full-time job, being an entrepreneur, having a business, being a businesswoman, also being a part of the many different things that you are in, friend groups, organizations. Do you find it difficult to maintain that level of relationship, being and juggling with work and business? Do you find any difficulties in that?
Absolutely. But I work hard at it. Just like you pencil in a meeting, you pencil in a friend's birthday, you pencil in time with your parents, you pencil in time with your friends. You got to pencil in time with your partner. If y'all are not connecting, you might not see your partner every day. Let's be honest. You could be in the same house with them and you might not be able to talk to them every single day. But that's why those, weekly date nights or, whatever works for the person, it has to be acceptable. But yes, it is hard. It is a work in progress. I won't say, I won't sit here and sit up here and say I'm perfect in it, but I know that we do work towards it. And best believe when it's like a whole line up, okay, well, me and my partner, we talk. So if my schedule is going to be this for this week or his schedule is going to be that for that week, we communicate that. We know exactly what's going on in each other's life. And if it gets a little too, okay, you working too much, babe, guess what? We have that communication where
Mm-hmm.
we talk about it. And it might be, we might get I mean, let me tell you, there's been times where we go for, okay, we're gonna watch a movie tonight. And most time the pillows is watching us because we end up sleep.
Out of there.
But
I already know.
it's the effort, it's the energy where we're trying to have that time connected. And like again, we make sure if we need to get away to decompress, we make sure we do that. If we could do something a little bit more local just to make sure we connect, we do that as well. So, that's it's all important.
I just recently, I used to think that there was no such thing as working too hard, and y'all, you know how I
Come on
am.
now.
But now I realize there is.
It
Yeah,
is.
and I had to get to this point in life. I had to turn 34, I guess, to understand that.
Come on now.
So yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. Realizing when you are working too hard and you're not available and you're not doing the work that's required for a relationship.
Right.
So and for people who don't believe it, man, just go ahead and show off that ring a little bit to the camera.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Okay.
hit them a little. Yeah, let them know what it
Come on now.
is.
He
Come
did
on
good. He
now.
did good. Come on now.
Yeah, so just a couple more questions for you, and I'm gonna let you go because it's New Year's Eve. So I appreciate you coming down for New Year's Eve and
Of
spending this
course.
time with me. We're going into the new year, so it's a good opportunity to reflect on the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out a better way to phrase this question, but let me know if there is. But
Okay.
think about where you were a year ago. Think about where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
If a year ago you was sitting right next to you on the couch, and I want to emphasize 1 year because I don't want people to say, think about 10 years, just literally 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like you have told yourself your 1 year ago? So what would you tell your 1 year ago self that was sitting right next to you on the couch? Just 1 year.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what I told myself because I was there. Um, COVID was very prevalent. It shut down a lot of stuff in the event planning world. You can imagine having
Right.
300, 400 people events to like, if somebody's doing something, it's very small scale.
It's like
It's
selling ice in a snowstorm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pivoting that I had to do. And especially when you come from having a system, a routine, a lifestyle that you're used to, and then that kind of, I don't say fumbles, but it kind of shifts a little bit. You have to pivot. And I will say that a year ago, the space that I was in was, I felt like I was actually in a very reflective state in general because it was like, okay, like this is shake the table. Like you just didn't know what was really coming. And although it might seem like, oh, well, we were ready for this new normal, you really didn't know how soon that was coming, if it's coming, if something else is going to drop off the air. I don't know, all these different things. But I will say that I did tell myself, and I don't want to sound like a cliche, but I was like, you have to live in the moment. Like, I honestly had a moment to breathe. And I usually don't do that. In the sense of I was less busy than what I'm used to doing. So I was actually able to be like, okay, let's have to do some things that you actually have been wanting to do, right? Like actually take some time for yourself, right? Like start your self-care Sundays or start your, these different things that will help kind of strengthen me as a person and keep me uplifted just in general. So I feel like if anything of what I said was live in the moment. Don't allow yourself to be tainted with what's going on, but just trust that things are going to be okay. And honestly, there were a lot of businesses that sank. There was a lot of businesses that for entrepreneurs who were just like, this is just too much. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting out the time. Most people care to sit back on their butts, collect a check, which is if, versus going forward. And for me, although, yes, there might have been grants and different things that I received during that time, at the same time, I didn't let my business fall. And I'm able to come full throttle. I'm able to be where I am today while I'm still continuing to, reach the different heights that I set out to accomplish. So I feel like, yes, it was a national emergency, disaster, whatever you want to call it, which definitely affected a whole lot of different people, different ways. But I chose not to dwell on it and allowed it to, allow me to grow. So I'll say glow and grow.
Yeah, it's just like the same thing, really.
Yeah.
But growing ain't always glowing. You know that it ain't always pretty. But if you can make it pretty, well, goddamn it,
I'll
congratulations.
try.
Um,
Lemonade. Lemons out of lemonade.
so we've come to our last question, and it's probably one of the most important. Um, because I feel like people don't think about this often, and it's an opportunity to think about it. Everybody has a last day. There's
Mm-hmm.
nowhere around it. From the day of man, no one's ever been able to defeat Father Time.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that's promised. The one thing we don't get to do is tell people how we felt before that day comes. So I like to give that opportunity. Um, and just thinking about your family and loved ones, I like to usually start with um, parents. If you have, if you would like to let your parents know if this was your last day and you knew it, what would you like to say to your parents?
That's deep,
It is
Keith.
very deep. I know it is, but I told you before we did this. This is gonna be the last question.
Yeah, but it kind of hit me right now
Yeah,
with you
it always
saying it.
does. It always
Yeah.
does.
um. Well, I would say that although I have a lot of extended fathers that have been a part of my upbringing in my life, they're my best friends and, my godmoms and all those different things. But I would say that my mom, has always been the root of me. And I'll say I appreciate the time, the effort, the sacrifice that she put into, raising me and really giving me the foundation to be a voice in any room that I'm in. I might be a 5'2", little lady, but at the end of the day, my voice, my presence speaks for itself. And I owe that to her for allowing me to know that no idea is dumb, no thought is stupid. Like if I wanted to aim for it, I could aim for it. And obviously, most people don't know I'm half Haitian, so with that being a whole different side of me that I'm not really in tune with, she always allowed me to live life out loud and also explore all the different things that I wanted to explore. I've always been a very adventurous, I'll say, kid, and I feel like into my adulthood that just transferred to, okay, I want to try this, I want to do that. Like I've always been interested in different things. So I feel like, it kind of just allowed me to experience life unapologetically. So I appreciate her for that. And, I hope to be half of the mother that she was to me.
All right. I like to also, if you have it, I don't know if you have any siblings. Do you have any siblings?
So I am the only child.
Oh, lucky you, right?
I am the
Did
only
everybody
child
say
by
you were
blood.
spoiled? Did everybody say you were spoiled?
Rightfully so. I received that. I didn't receive it at all times of my life, but I receive it now, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like as long as you're spoiled or you're taken care of, that's how I would describe it. As long as you're able to get up and do things for yourself and actually make a lane for yourself, you're fine.
Right on. We're moving right along. Um, we gotta talk to about your future husband.
Okay.
If this was your last opportunity to tell him something, what would you want to tell him?
Oh, we starting our new future now. I don't want to say
Well,
no last words.
this is what a wonderful opportunity, that you have to
Oh,
express,
Jesus. You
you
was
know.
making me nervous right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, a little bit.
Um, well, I pray over our union, our future union.
Yeah,
But I will say that I would just say I appreciate you for loving me as me and not allowing me to taint my thoughts, my perspectives, not tainting me for the woman I am for you. I feel like um, I'm very fortunate to have you, Jermaine. I'll say your name out there, And I'm very fortunate to have a partner, a loving partner that actually pushes me every single day. You don't taint me, you don't limit me, you don't say, "Hey, you gotta stay at home." Like you like, okay, go out there, accomplish your dreams, but make sure you take care of me at the same time. In terms of the love and what we share. So you allow me to love on you, you love on me, but we also, we're very big in building our empire together. So I appreciate the partner that I have in you. And, I can't wait to share many more moments and adventures and, eventually our family that we've always talked about.
wonderful. And I'll have to add, um, your future husband is definitely one of the strongest men that I know, and I've been able to see him prove that time and time again. So, you're a lucky woman as well.
I second that, third it, fourth it, all of the above.
um, and last but certainly not least, I just like to say we have friends that's out there that's like blood couldn't make us no closer. And you don't have to identify any by name because I know we can go down a row of them, right? But the ones who see this, they know who they are. What would you want to say to them?
Well, I'll just shoot out my goddess tribe. They know
Okay.
who they
All
are.
right.
And I would just say that they know the love I share for them. I would bend over backwards and make sure they called me. I might cuss you out if it's like late, late night, but they know I'll answer. I'll always show up. I'll always be there regardless of whatever is going on. So, I'm just appreciative for really the tribe that I've been able to build over time. With me being the only child, you can only imagine having a support and a love from far and near is important to have, but they've always been my rock. And, as I wrong, rights, and different, all these life lessons that you grow, they've never been envious. They never turned on me. They never, pointed a finger. If anything, they listen. They tell me about myself when I need to be told about myself. And they hold me responsible for what I'm set out to do. So I'm forever appreciative, and they're always in my heart.
Wonderful. Well, I must say I appreciate you being vulnerable with me and sharing this time and spaces
Come on
with me. I hope it
now.
wasn't too bad. I hope it wasn't too bad.
Not too bad. I was right on. You went. I was like, oh, okay.
I
What
didn't
am
go.
I
I
going
didn't
to
go all
experience?
the way there, right? But I went. I let you know they can get hot.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
but
It
thank
was
you so
beautiful.
much. I appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. Latanza Price, soon to be Latanza McGee. Next time y'all see her, probably on my platform. But
Yes.
um, appreciate you, event specialist, businesswoman,
I
and my
appreciate
sorority
you.
sister. Much love.
Yes. Much love. Doing amazing things. I'm so proud of you.
Till next time, y'all. Bye.